In the magnificent architecture of creation, where every element operates according to divine law and perfect order, there exists a power so fundamental to your being that its conscious recognition alone can transform your entire world. This power resides in your spoken word, which is far more than mere sound waves traveling through air or casual expressions of thought. Your words are living, breathing forces of creation, imbued with the same divine energy that spoke the universe into existence. When you speak, you are wielding the very scepter of your dominion, exercising your birthright as a co-creator with the infinite. Every syllable that passes your lips carries within it a creative command that travels instantly into the invisible realm of pure possibility. There, in that responsive field of infinite potential, your words take on form and substance, arranging circumstances, attracting people, and orchestrating events to match the vibrational frequency of what you have declared. This is not poetry or metaphor, but scientific spiritual fact. Your tongue is not merely a physical organ designed for taste and speech. It is a sacred instrument of manifestation, a divine tool that shapes worlds and determines destinies with mathematical precision. The moment you truly comprehend this principle, you begin to understand why your life appears exactly as it does. Every condition you are currently experiencing is the direct result of words you have spoken in the past, either consciously or unconsciously. Your financial situation, your relationships, your health, your opportunities, your very circumstances are all materialized forms of thoughts you have clothed in words and sent forth into the creative medium of universal substance. The universe, in its perfect obedience to spiritual law, has faithfully reproduced in your outer experience whatever you have consistently declared with your voice. Consider the profound responsibility this places upon your shoulders. With precision, every utterance, you are either building up or tearing down, creating abundance or manifesting lack, establishing harmony or sowing discord. The universe does not judge your words as good or bad, positive or negative. It simply responds to them as commands, like a faithful servant awaiting instructions. When you say money is hard to come by, you strike the tuning fork of scarcity, and all the strings of your life begin to vibrate to that note of limitation. When you declare, "My supply is effortless and continual," you release a river from the hills of spirit that finds its course to you, carving channels in the unseen until they open as opportunities, payments, promotions, gifts, and unexpected favor. This understanding reveals why the careless mind remains trapped in unwanted conditions, while the awakened soul rises into freedom and abundance. The difference lies not in external circumstances, but in the conscious use of the creative word. Those who speak carelessly of lack, illness, hardship, and fear inadvertently decree these very conditions into their experience. Every complaint becomes an order slip stamped and delivered to the universe. Every worry articulated becomes a blueprint for more things to worry about. Every doubt given voice becomes a command for the continuation of uncertainty. Your subconscious mind, which serves as the fertile soil for your spoken words, takes every declaration literally. It does not reason or judge. It simply accepts what you tell it as truth and begins immediately to arrange your life accordingly. This magnificent servant works tirelessly 24 hours a day to bring into physical manifestation whatever seeds you plant with your conversation. Speak words of lack, and it will find ingenious ways to manifest lack. Speak words of abundance, and it will orchestrate circumstances to bring forth abundance with equal dedication. The key to harnessing this creative power lies in understanding that your words must be infused with more than mere mechanical repetition. They must be saturated with faith, the living fire that ignites the creative spark within your declarations. Faith is the conviction that what you speak is not merely a hope or wish, but a divine promise waiting to be fulfilled through your conscious utterance. When you speak from this elevated consciousness, your words become irresistible forces that move mountains of circumstance and open doors where no doors appeared to exist. Think of your words as seeds planted in the fertile soil of universal creative medium. Just as a wise gardener would never plant weeds and expect roses, you must become vigilant about the type of seeds you are planting with your conversation. Every expression of gratitude is a flower seed that will bloom into increased blessings. Every declaration of abundance is a money tree that will bear fruit in due season. Every blessing spoken over your day, your work, your relationships becomes a decree of good that the universe must honor. The power of conscious speech extends far beyond your personal experience. When you speak words of truth, healing, and prosperity, you are contributing to the elevation of consciousness for all humanity. Your positive declarations create ripples in the universal field that touch and bless lives you will never know. This is why the awakened soul guards their conversation as carefully as a miser guards gold, understanding that their words are their most precious possession and their direct connection to the creative forces of the universe. To truly transform your life through the power of spoken word, you must first become acutely aware of your current speech patterns. Begin to listen to yourself with a discerning ear. What narratives are you weaving with your words? Are they tales of triumph or tales of woe? Are they declarations of abundance or affirmations of scarcity? This awareness, practiced without judgment but with loving correction, becomes the foundation for conscious transformation. When you catch yourself speaking words that do not align with your desires, immediately cancel them. Say, I erase that. I refuse that picture. Only divine abundance is operative in my affairs. Then quickly replace the negative declaration with its opposite truth. As an artist corrects a stray stroke while the paint is wet, so must you correct a stray word before it sets into form. This practice of substitution is not denial of current facts. It is declaration of higher spiritual fact that commands the temporary to rearrange itself. Bring your imagination into alliance with your speech. See your words as golden scripts written upon the air, and watch as invisible hands carry them into the offices, homes, and hearts where they must act. When you say, "Right clients find me now," imagine doors opening, messages being sent, faces turning toward you with recognition. When you proclaim, "I receive money from expected and unexpected sources," let your inner sight fill with checks arriving, accounts being credited, opportunities calling your name. Words are the keys. Images turn the lock. Begin immediately to speak to everything in your world as if it possessed consciousness and could respond to your commands. Speak to your money with love and respect. You are a faithful servant. You multiply and return to me in ever-increasing measure, under grace and by perfect right. When you pay a bill, speak over it. This is paid in full, and money returns to me multiplied. Speak to your work. You are a golden channel. You pay me richly and on time. Speak to your day before it begins. You open before me with ease and right results. All that concerns me prospers and succeeds. The tone for creative speech should be one of quiet certainty, joyful expectation, and loving release. Force is not necessary. Anxiety is not creative. The law is exact, not emotional. You need not shout to be heard in the invisible. You need only believe that you are heard. A whisper of faith outbuilds a torrent of fear. Let your decrees be simple, clean, and consistent. Repetition is not begging. It is chiseling a groove through which supply can pour with increasing ease. Guard your conversation with others as vigilantly as you guard your private declarations. Do not join the chorus of worry that the world rehearses daily. If a friend sighs, "Times are bad," answer gently but firmly, "Good is rushing to meet us now." If someone recites the cost of living, declare the value of living. "I am daily loaded with benefits. My cup runs over." You need not argue with appearances. You simply refuse to rent your tongue to ideas you do not wish to house in your life. Practice a daily liturgy of prosperity that establishes your consciousness in truth from morning until night. Upon waking, declare, This is a day of divine increase. All that I do prospers, all that I need appears, all that I desire aligns in right ways. At midday, take 3 conscious breaths and reaffirm, infinite supply supports me now. At night, review your victories and speak gratitude over them. For gratitude multiplies whatever it touches like a divine magnifying glass. Remember that there are no idle words in the kingdom of manifestation. Every casual remark contributes to the fabric of your future. Every blessing spoken multiplies good. Every criticism uttered creates resistance to your own flow. The law does not judge the size or seeming importance of your declarations. It simply fulfills them with mechanical precision. This is why consistency and positive speech becomes the foundation of permanent transformation. The spoken word is your bridge between the invisible world of infinite possibility and the visible world of manifest form. Every great achievement in human history began as words spoken by someone who dared to declare a reality that did not yet exist in physical form. These pioneers of consciousness understood that words spoken with conviction and faith have the power to call forth new realities from the realm of pure potential. Your personal universe, your individual experience of life, is constantly being shaped by the words that proceed from your mouth. The ancient teaching that the Word was made flesh is not merely theological concept, but living, breathing reality that you demonstrate moment by moment through your speech. Every desire, every aspiration, every dream you hold begins its journey toward manifestation when you give it voice, when you clothe it in the vibrational form of a spoken word backed by unwavering faith and joyful expectation. The most profound truth that can revolutionize your entire relationship with abundance is this: you are not a separate being, hoping to attract supply from some distant source. You are, in your very essence, one with the infinite storehouse of universal provision. This unity is not a spiritual goal to be achieved through years of practice or devotion. It is the auditioned, fundamental reality of your existence right now, as natural and immediate as the breath in your lungs or the beat of your heart. The belief that you stand apart from abundance, struggling to secure your portion from a limited pool of resources, is the grand illusion that creates every experience of lack, limitation, and financial struggle. Look upon the magnificent display of nature's abundance as evidence of the inexhaustible supply that flows through you. Consider the countless stars scattered across infinite space, each one a sun blazing with power beyond human comprehension. Observe a single tree producing thousands of leaves, an ocean containing billions of drops, a garden yielding harvest after harvest without depleting its creative capacity. The same divine substance that orchestrates this cosmic abundance operates as your own consciousness when you recognize your unity with its infinite nature. The intelligence that maintains the perfect orbit of planets and the precise timing of seasons is the identical intelligence that can manifest money, opportunities, and resources in your individual experience with mathematical precision. This infinite supply from which all things emerge is not diminished by giving forth abundance any more than the sun is weakened by shining its light upon countless worlds. There exists no cosmic accounting system that rations portions of good, no celestial budget that limits how much prosperity can flow to each soul. The source is literally infinite, meaning without boundary, without end, without any form of limitation whatsoever. Your connection to this boundless reservoir is not something you must earn, create, or deserve through worthiness or struggle. It exists as the very foundation of your being, as automatic and natural as the circulation of blood through your veins. The moment you truly grasp this unity, the entire game of manifestation transforms. You are no longer playing from a position of need, desperately trying to attract something you lack from outside yourself. You are playing from a position of abundance, simply allowing the infinite substance within you to take the form of money, opportunities, and resources in your outer experience. This shift from getting to giving, from needing to expressing, from lacking to overflowing, changes every aspect of your financial reality because it aligns your consciousness with the truth of what you actually are. Understanding your oneness with infinite supply dissolves the fear that underlies all financial anxiety. When you know beyond doubt that you are connected to an inexhaustible source, you cannot truly run out of anything. You may encounter temporary delays in manifestation, apparent obstacles, or challenges in the physical world, but these are merely surface ripples on the ocean of infinite supply. Beneath all appearances, the source continues to flow through you, seeking expression, waiting only for your recognition and conscious direction to manifest as your tangible good. The practical application of this truth begins with recognizing that every form of lack you have experienced originated in consciousness, not in any actual shortage of supply. The universe is not a distant, reluctant provider that must be convinced to share its resources. It is an omnipresent, responsive intelligence that mirrors back to you precisely what you hold in your dominant consciousness. If your thoughts are saturated with beliefs in limitation, struggle, and scarcity, your outer experience faithfully reflects that internal state. But when your consciousness aligns with the truth of infinite supply, your external circumstances must rearrange themselves to match this elevated awareness. Consider the story of an artist whose commissions had dwindled to almost nothing. She had begun repeating the race belief that no one buys art in difficult times, thereby binding her own creative channels with words of limitation. When instructed to recognize her unity with infinite supply and to bless her connection to the living substance that expresses as creativity and fair exchange, she shifted her daily practice. She wrote each morning, "I am one with infinite supply. My perfect patrons find me now. Money flows to me through expected and unexpected channels. Under grace." She stopped consuming fearful news and began blessing every gallery, artist, and collector she could name, declaring, "What blesses one blesses all." Within 2 weeks, a gallery she had not approached in years invited her to participate in a themed exhibition. 2 pieces sold before the opening night, and a substantial private commission followed immediately after. The channel had changed, but the source remained constant and inexhaustible. Your unity with infinite supply means that every need you experience is already met in the realm of infinite possibility. Your consciousness serves as the bridge that allows this spiritual reality to manifest as physical experience. When you require money for rent, that exact amount already exists in potential form within the infinite storehouse, waiting to flow through the perfect channel. When you need resources for a project, those resources already exist in the invisible realm, seeking the pathway of your recognition and faith to become visible in your world. This understanding transforms how you approach every financial challenge. Instead of panicking when bills arrive, you remain anchored in the knowledge that infinite supply contains the exact amount needed plus abundance to spare. Instead of desperately seeking new sources of income, you peacefully allow perfect opportunities to present themselves through your unity with infinite intelligence. Instead of hoarding what you have from fear of future lack, you give generously under divine guidance, knowing that your supply is constantly renewed from the inexhaustible source. The consciousness of unity also revolutionizes your relationships with others around money matters. You no longer need to manipulate, compete, or take advantage of anyone because you recognize that everyone's good flows from the same infinite source. You can genuinely celebrate others' prosperity because you understand that their abundance in no way diminishes what is available to you. The universe operates on principles of circulation, not competition. When you bless another's success, you are acknowledging the same infinite supply that seeks to bless you through different channels. A merchant whose sales had declined dramatically shifted his practice from anxious calculation to grateful recognition. Each morning, he touched every item in his shop and declared, "You are divine substance made visible. You find your right owner today, and money returns to me multiplied." Under grace, he blessed his competitors instead of fearing them, saying, What blesses them blesses me, for we all draw from the same infinite well. He stopped criticizing the foot, traffic, and blessed the street, the weather, even the door itself. Within a month, sales exceeded any previous season. Customers would enter saying they felt drawn in by something warm and welcoming, not knowing they were responding to the radiation of unity consciousness that had transformed the very atmosphere of the space. Practice seeing money itself as condensed infinite supply, divine substance that has temporarily taken form for the purpose of exchange and circulation. When you handle money, whether paying bills or making purchases, remember that you are touching sacred energy, divine intelligence that flows from the infinite source through you, to others and back again in perfect circulation. This reverence for money as spiritual substance rather than mere material commodity elevates every financial transaction into a sacred act of cooperation with infinite supply. Your unity with infinite supply operates through the law of non-resistance, which is not passivity but relaxed alignment with the natural flow of abundance. When you resist appearances by arguing, fretting, or fighting against what you see, you actually strengthen the very conditions you wish to dissolve. When you refuse to wrestle with limitation and instead decree your oneness with infinite supply, you become like water that flows around obstacles and gradually erodes them without effort. Speak to every appearance of lack as you would address a child frightened by shadows. You have no power over me. Only the infinite has power, and I am one with it. Then turn your attention toward the light of truth and behave as though your good is already manifesting, because in the realm of spirit, it already is. The law of the vacuum operates powerfully for those who understand their unity with infinite supply. When you make room in your life by clearing physical clutter, completing unfinished business, or releasing old grudges, you create channels through which fresh abundance can flow. A woman who had long feared to release a collection of items she was saving, just in case, finally declared, "If I am truly one with infinite supply, I am never without my right thing at the right time." She blessed each item and sent them into circulation with joy. Within a week, a client offered her a project requiring exactly the space she had cleared, and the fee was sufficient to purchase new items perfectly suited to her current needs. Forgiveness becomes essential to maintaining your unity with infinite supply because resentment creates knots in the channels through which abundance flows. Every unpaid debt of love, kindness, or money that you hold in your consciousness becomes a mental obstruction that blocks circulation. Release every person and situation into the hands of divine justice, declaring, "I forgive everyone and everything that needs forgiveness. I am free and you are free." Infinite supply makes all things right now. The moment you sever the cord of resentment, you feel the current of abundance restoring itself. Often the very person you release will repay in unexpected ways, or an entirely different channel will deliver equivalent value with increase. Your unity with infinite supply sharpens rather than diminishes practical wisdom. When you are truly aligned with the source, you receive clear guidance about right action, perfect timing, and beneficial associations. Intuition, that quiet inner voice of infinite intelligence, becomes your unfailing counselor. It will prompt you to make a telephone call, send a message, adjust a price, change a route, or step boldly through an opening door. Obedience to these intuitive hints is obedience to the source itself operating through your consciousness. A bookkeeper, anxious about declining accounts, affirmed her unity with infinite supply and asked, "What is my next right step?" The guidance was simple. Update her portfolio and reach out to 3 former clients with cheerful notes. She acted immediately. 1. Replied with a small project that developed into a monthly retainer. Another referred her to a company seeking exactly her specialized skills. She found herself saying, "The abundance was here all along. I only needed to open the channel that was already mine by divine right." Beware of making an idol of struggle. For many have been taught that hardship is the price of prosperity, and that the more difficult the path, the more honorable the reward. Unity with infinite supply dissolves this destructive superstition completely. Your good does not arrive through endurance of suffering, but through alignment with spiritual law. This does not mean you will be idle. It means your efforts become graceful, efficient, and inspired. You move with the current of infinite intelligence instead of exhausting yourself swimming against it. Declare often, I do my perfect work in perfect ways for perfect compensation. Everything I need to know is revealed to me. Everything I require comes in right timing and right measure. Give where you are guided, for generous giving is the natural gesture of one who knows their unity with inexhaustible supply. Fear clenches the fist. Faith opens the hand in joyful sharing. When you give under divine guidance, whether money, time, attention, or appreciation, you declare through your actions that you live from an infinite reservoir rather than a limited container. You cannot outgive the infinite. A young entrepreneur who complained he could not afford to give resolved to bless a portion of every bit of income, even if only a single coin. He gave with joy rather than duty, speaking over each gift, "This money is divine substance in circulation. It blesses all it touches and returns to me multiplied, leaving everyone stronger." His previously stagnant business began to expand in ways that amazed him, because he had proven to himself through action that he lived from the ocean of infinite supply, not from a small, fearful container. Establish yourself each morning in the consciousness of your unity before engaging with the world of appearances. Before checking bank accounts or reviewing obligations, speak with quiet authority. I am one with the infinite riches of the universe. My supply is immediate, inexhaustible, and ever-flowing. What is mine by divine right now comes to me in avalanches of abundance, under grace, in perfect ways. Let these words penetrate beyond mere intellectual understanding into the depths of your being. Feel their truth resonating through every cell, dissolving the fear patterns that have blocked your natural flow of good. Throughout each day, practice seeing infinite supply operating in everything around you. When you observe wealth in others, instead of feeling envy or separation, recognize their abundance as proof of the infinite supply equally available to you. When you witness apparent lack, instead of accepting it as evidence of universal scarcity, see it as temporary forgetfulness of divine connection. When you encounter news of economic challenges, instead of allowing them to become your reality, recognize them as collective hypnosis that need not affect your individual demonstration of abundance. Your unity with infinite supply extends far beyond financial abundance to encompass perfect health, harmonious relationships, creative inspiration, fulfilling work, inner peace, and boundless joy. All these are facets of the same inexhaustible source, waiting to be drawn forth from the invisible into your experience through your conscious recognition and claim. When you declare, "My body is sustained by infinite life and perfect health," you access the same principle that manifests financial abundance. When you affirm, "Divine love flows through me, creating perfect relationships in all directions," you draw from the identical inexhaustible well. The infinite storehouse is not located somewhere outside yourself, waiting to be accessed through proper technique or the Robson's eye, sufficient worthiness. It exists within your own consciousness, available through your recognition of what you truly are. It is the kingdom of heaven that spiritual teachings declare is always at hand. Your ability to draw from this storehouse is limited only by your belief in its reality and your willingness to claim your inheritance as a divine being united with the source of all good. Night and morning, return to the ocean of infinite supply that you are. Visualize yourself standing on a shore without end, watching waves of abundance advancing and advancing, never receding to your loss. Feel deeply that you are not merely the observer on the shore, but the ocean itself, pouring forth, renewing, inexhaustible. Breathe slowly and whisper with growing conviction, "I am one with infinite supply. The river of my good can never run dry." Remain in this consciousness until the truth settles into place, not as hopeful sentiment, but as unshakable certainty. Then rise and take whatever next step presents itself, however ordinary it may appear. For the infinite delights to hide its wonders in common moments, and your unity with the Source will reveal them as surely as sunrise reveals the landscape that seemed lost in darkness. In the vast treasury of spiritual principles that govern manifestation and abundance, there exists a truth so profound, yet so elegantly simple, that a single sentence, when properly understood and consistently applied, possesses the divine authority to completely restructure your financial reality. This is not metaphorical language or hopeful sentiment, but literal spiritual fact operating with the same mathematical precision as the laws of physics or chemistry. Just as one perfectly balanced chemical equation can transform base elements into precious metals, one divinely crafted affirmation, spoken with complete understanding and unwavering expectation, can transmute poverty consciousness into prosperity demonstration with scientific accuracy and inevitable results. The transformative sentence operates as spiritual law because it functions through immutable principles that govern all creation. When you speak words that are in perfect harmony with divine truth, you set into motion forces that must respond according to unchangeable spiritual law. These forces do not operate by chance, luck, or wishful thinking, but by exact principle that works with mathematical precision every single time it is properly applied. The universe is not capricious or unreliable in its responses to your declarations. It is absolutely consistent, responding to your words according to the consciousness from which they are spoken and the faith with which they are infused. Understanding this sentence as spiritual law means recognizing that your words become decrees that instantly rearrange the invisible substance of the universe to match your spoken declaration. Every syllable carries vibrational frequency that travels immediately into the responsive medium of universal intelligence, where it begins at once to attract, organize, and manifest the physical equivalent of what you have declared. This is not a slow, uncertain process dependent upon external circumstances, but a swift, sure operation of spiritual law that begins working the moment you speak with genuine conviction and expectation. The reason one sentence can accomplish what years of struggle cannot lies in its power to completely reprogram your subconscious mind, which serves as the faithful servant that takes whatever you consistently impress upon it and works tirelessly to manifest those impressions in your outer experience. Your consciousness is largely governed by beliefs you hold, many of which are deeply ingrained from childhood, societal influences, and past experiences. If these beliefs are saturated with ideas of lack, struggle, and limitation, then your consciousness is programmed for scarcity, and your subconscious mind dutifully creates experiences that match this programming. A powerful, divinely inspired sentence acts as a new, higher command to your subconscious mind. It is like replacing an old, faulty computer program with a new, perfectly functioning one. Each time you speak this sentence with understanding and expectation, you are overriding the old false beliefs and implanting the truth of abundance. The subconscious mind, being a non-reasoning servant that accepts whatever it is told as absolute truth, immediately begins to align your thoughts, feelings, and actions to bring this new programming into your outer experience. This reprogramming occurs at the deepest levels of consciousness because the transformative sentence contains within it every element necessary for complete manifestation. It acknowledges the infinite source, claims your divine right to abundance, specifies the form your good will take, ensures harmless manifestation, and establishes the perfect timing for your demonstration. Like a master key that opens every lock, this sentence unlocks every channel through which prosperity can flow to you, dissolving resistance and creating clear pathways for your good to reach you with effortless ease. The sentence functions as spiritual law because it operates through the principle of vibration, which governs all manifestation in the physical universe. Everything in existence vibrates at specific frequencies, and like frequencies attract each other with magnetic precision. Money vibrates at the frequency of abundance, ease, circulation, and joyful exchange. When your transformative sentence raises your vibrational frequency to match the vibration of prosperity, you become an irresistible magnet for money in all its forms. This reprogramming inevitably leads to a profound shift in your vibrational frequency. Everything in the universe vibrates at a certain frequency and attracts with mathematical precision. If your consciousness is vibrating at the frequency of lack, you will attract more experiences of lack. When your perfectly crafted sentence, spoken with faith, reprograms your subconscious, it elevates your entire energetic signature. You begin to emit a frequency of prosperity, and the universe, in its perfect responsiveness, must match that vibration. You become a spiritual magnet, not just for money, but for all the circumstances, people, and opportunities that are aligned with the frequency of abundance you are now radiating. The sentence operates as a spiritual magnet because it creates a powerful vibrational field that draws to you exactly what you have declared. Magnetism in the physical world operates according to definite laws. Opposite poles attract, like poles repel, and the strength of attraction is determined by the power of the magnetic field. Spiritual magnetism operates with identical precision. When your sentence embodies the vibration of abundance, prosperity, and infinite supply, it creates an irresistible magnetic field that draws money to you from every direction through channels both expected and unexpected. A transformative sentence that operates as spiritual law must be crafted with the precision of a legal document because the universe responds to your exact words with literal accuracy. It is not merely a collection of positive words, but a declaration steeped in divine truth, reflecting the inherent abundance of the universe and your birthright to partake in it. Such a sentence must contain 4 essential elements that align it perfectly with spiritual law. First, acknowledgement of a higher ordinance than human effort. When you declare, under grace, you place your affairs under the jurisdiction of divine arrangement that produces good without strain or injury to anyone. Grace is the divine current that flows around obstacles and opens doors where no doors seem to exist. Second, claim to your perfect right by spiritual inheritance. When you affirm by perfect right, you are claiming your lawful inheritance as a spiritual being which cannot be withheld by person or circumstance. Perfect right is not earned through struggle or worthiness. It is inherent as breath is inherent. Third, identification with infinite rather than limited substance. When you name the source as infinite supply, you acknowledge the boundless reservoir that is never diminished by giving forth abundance any more than the sun is weakened by shining its light upon countless worlds. Fourth, acceptance of right channels unfolding in perfect order. When you conclude with "in perfect ways," you release the how and when to divine intelligence, refusing to outline specific channels and insisting only that the manifestation be right, timely, and harmonious for all concerned. The transformative sentence operates as spiritual law because it invokes divine authority rather than human pleading. There exists a profound difference between decree and supplication that determines whether your words carry the power to manifest or merely express hopeful wishes. When you speak from the consciousness of your divine nature, recognizing your unity with infinite supply and your right to abundant provision, your words carry the authority of spiritual law itself. Many repeat phrases without power because they mistake repetition for realization. A sentence only transforms when it is spoken from the center of knowing, when your inner agreement matches the words you release. Words uttered without inner assent are leaves in the wind. Words spoken under spiritual authority become the wind itself. Authority comes from understanding, and understanding comes from recognizing that the sentence is a statement of law, not an attempt to make something happen. You are not asking permission. You are claiming your inheritance. You are not hoping for favor. You are demanding justice. You are not requesting charity. You are exercising dominion. This transformation from supplication to declaration marks the difference between those who struggle financially and those who demonstrate effortless abundance. The struggling consciousness approaches the universe as a beggar hoping for crumbs, while the abundant consciousness approaches as an heir, claiming their rightful inheritance. To activate the transformative sentence as spiritual law in your life, you must understand that the moment you speak a sentence of law, the law is engaged. There is no delay in the invisible realm. Delay appears only in the time it takes for your outer affairs to rearrange into harmony with your decree. During this interval, your task is not to pester the law with anxious checking, but to maintain congruence between your declaration and your daily behavior. Congruence means your thoughts, feelings, words, and small daily acts do not contradict what you have declared. If you decree overflow and then complain of shortage, you have sent the law cross-currents that confuse and delay your demonstration. If you decree perfect ways and then outline, demanding a specific person or channel, you narrow the passage through which your good can reach you. The sentence opens doors unknown to you. Your part is to keep still inwardly, prepared to step through whichever door swings wide. Establish the conditions that amplify the sentence's operation. First, maintain cleanliness of speech. A spring cannot run pure and bitter at once. If you decree wealth in the morning and curse your finances by noon, the stream muddles. Set a watch at your lips. If a statement of lack slips out, erase it immediately. I cancel that. I welcome only divine abundance, now. Second, practice secrecy of incubation. Not every seed should be exposed to cold air. Until your decree has roots, be discreet about sharing it. Share only where faith is strong and understanding is present. Third, maintain receptivity to guidance. The sentence sets the general law in motion. Intuition supplies the particular step, a nudge to call, to apply, to create, to adjust a price. Obey quickly. Delay is disobedience to your own decree. The beauty of the transformative sentence as spiritual law is that it draws money to you from expected and unexpected channels, opening pathways you never could have imagined. Many individuals limit their supply by dictating how their money must come, fixating on a raise, a specific job, or a particular investment. While these are valid channels, the universe has infinite ways to deliver your good. When you simply declare your abundance without specifying the channel, you open yourself to a myriad of possibilities. Money might come through a forgotten debt repaid, an unexpected gift, a brilliant new idea that generates income, a sudden opportunity, or even an inheritance from a distant relative you barely knew. The law delights in surprising you with its ingenuity and often provides through channels so unexpected that others call them coincidences, but which you recognize as divine orchestration, responding to your spoken word. Beware of the subtle form of outlining that disguises itself as faith, deciding in advance that your good must come through a particular person, employer, client, or investment. This binds your demonstration to a narrow channel and often frightens the channel, which senses invisible pressure. Release them completely. Say, if not this, something better, under grace. The sentence already includes perfect ways. Trust those ways implicitly. The consistency of your declaration is essential because each utterance reinforces the new programming, strengthening the magnetic field of prosperity around you. Just as a single drop of water may not carve a canyon, but persistent dripping eventually does, so too does the consistent, faithful repetition of your transformative sentence etch its truth into the deepest recesses of your being until it becomes the dominant thought, the prevailing vibration. Make holy use of thresholds in your daily practice. Upon waking, before the wast, race mind revives. Whisper your sentence 3 times, each time with stronger certainty. At noon, pause between tasks and repeat it once, like resetting a compass. At night, as you release the day, speak it with gratitude for proofs received and proofs en route. Pair your decree with denial when appearances shout otherwise. Denial is not pretense. It is refusal to grant reality to what is temporary and unlike your decree. If a bill arrives that seems alarming, say, "You have no permanent power. I place you under grace and perfect right." Then speak your sentence and bless the channel through which payment appears. Let your environment echo your decree. Set your desk in order. Abundance dislikes chaos. Place a beautiful, modest symbol of overflow where your eyes rest, a bowl that is always kept full, a plant that thrives, a wallet that holds a blessed note. Speak to these objects. You are witnesses to my law in operation. The transformative sentence works as spiritual law because it establishes you in the consciousness of completion rather than need. Instead of declaring what you lack, it affirms what you already possess in the realm of infinite possibility. Instead of focusing on problems, it claims solutions. Instead of acknowledging limitation, it recognizes infinite supply. This shift from problem consciousness to solution consciousness is the key that unlocks the treasure house of universal provision. When you truly understand your transformative sentence as spiritual law, you speak it not with desperation, but with quiet authority. You know that your words are not disappearing into empty space, but are taking form in the invisible realm where all manifestation begins. You can sense the machinery of the universe rearranging itself to accommodate your declaration, opening channels, moving people, creating opportunities, and orchestrating events to bring your spoken word into physical reality with perfect timing and abundant measure. This spiritual law is always in operation, whether you are consciously aware of it or not. The difference lies in whether you are using it to create what you desire or inadvertently to perpetuate what you fear. By consciously choosing a transformative sentence and applying it with understanding and expectation, you seize the reins of your creative power and direct the flow of infinite supply precisely where you intend it to go. You become the conscious architect of your financial destiny, operating not by chance or circumstance, but by immutable divine law that responds to your spoken word with mathematical precision and inevitable success. The most formidable obstacle, standing between you and the free flow of infinite abundance, is not external economic fringe, conditions, market fluctuations, or lack of opportunity, but an invisible prison of the mind known as poverty consciousness. This consciousness is not merely the condition of having little money, but a complete mental framework that interprets all of life through the lens of scarcity, limitation, and struggle. It is a collection of false beliefs, fear-based thoughts, and accepted limitations that create an impenetrable barrier between you and the infinite supply that is your divine birthright. Poverty consciousness makes lack appear to be the natural order, rather than recognizing it as a temporary illusion created by wrong thinking. And it is this fundamental misunderstanding that binds you to experiences of financial limitation regardless of your education, talents, or efforts. This destructive consciousness is particularly insidious because it masquerades as practical wisdom, common sense, and even spiritual humility. It whispers reasonable-sounding justifications for limitation, such as, "Be realistic about your expectations," "Don't get your hopes up," "Money doesn't grow on trees," and "You have to work hard for everything you get." These statements seem prudent and grounded, but they are actually declarations of spiritual ignorance that bind you to the very conditions you seek to escape. They represent acceptance of lack as a fundamental reality, rather than recognition of abundance as the true nature of the universe. Understanding how poverty consciousness becomes embedded in your mental framework is essential to dissolving it completely. This consciousness is not natural to the human soul, which was created in the image and likeness of infinite abundance. Instead, it is acquired through inherited beliefs, passed down through family lines, absorbed from societal programming, and reinforced through personal experiences that seem to validate scarcity as reality. From earliest childhood, most individuals are immersed in conversations, attitudes, and assumptions that treat limitation as normal and abundance as exceptional or suspicious. Family beliefs about money become deeply embedded in your subconscious mind during the formative years when your consciousness is most impressionable. If your parents spoke of money with anxiety, resentment, or fear, these emotional patterns become associated with money in your own consciousness. Phrases repeated unconsciously through generations such as, "We can't afford that," "Money doesn't buy happiness," "Rich people are greedy," or "People like us never get ahead," become the very fabric of your mental landscape. They are absorbed without question, taking root in the subconscious mind as undeniable truths that operate automatically without your conscious awareness. Societal programming reinforces poverty consciousness through constant exposure to messages of limitation, competition, and scarcity. News reports focus on economic problems. Advertising creates artificial needs while suggesting you lack the means to satisfy them, and popular culture often portrays wealth as corrupting or unspiritual. This collective hypnosis creates a race mind of limitation that influences individual consciousness unless you consciously choose to think independently and align with higher truth. Society often glorifies struggle, celebrates financial sacrifice, and subtly perpetuates the myth that wealth is either earned through immense hardship or is available only to a select, fortunate few. Personal experiences that seem to validate scarcity become particularly powerful reinforcements of poverty consciousness. When you experience financial setbacks, job losses, or insufficient funds for desired purchases, these events can be interpreted as evidence that limitation is your natural state rather than temporary conditions created by your previous thinking. Each apparent confirmation of lack strengthens the belief system that created the lack in the first place, establishing a vicious cycle that perpetuates itself until consciously interrupted through spiritual understanding. Poverty consciousness operates through specific mental patterns that consistently create experiences of limitation. The first and most fundamental pattern is the acceptance of lack as reality rather than recognizing it as a temporary condition created by wrong thinking. When you look at an empty bank account, unpaid bills, or insufficient income and accept these conditions as facts that define your situation, you give them power to continue and multiply. This acceptance becomes a form of agreement with limitation that authorizes its continuation in your experience. The most potent and pervasive aspect of poverty consciousness is what can be called arguing with appearances. The physical world, with its seemingly solid conditions, is nothing more than the outpicturing of past thoughts and beliefs. Appearances are effects, not causes. They are the temporary manifestations of consciousness, and they hold no power over you unless you grant them that power by believing in their permanence and allowing them to dictate your inner state. When you look at financial difficulties and allow these appearances to generate fear, despair, or the conviction that this is my reality, you are arguing with the truth of infinite supply and cementing the very conditions you wish to change. Fear-based thinking acts as the primary fuel for poverty consciousness. When you constantly worry about bills, fret over potential losses, dread the future, or envy the prosperity of others, you are actively sending out vibrational signals of lack. The universe, in its perfect responsiveness, cannot help but return to you more experiences that confirm your fears. Worry is misdirected faith. It is the powerful expectation of a negative outcome, and it is just as creative in manifesting its object as faith is in manifesting good. Every anxious thought, every whispered doubt about your supply, every mental picture of financial difficulty acts as a command to the universal creative substance to arrange circumstances that will bring these very conditions into your physical experience. The comparison trap represents another subtle but devastating aspect of poverty consciousness. When you measure your financial situation against others, feeling either inferior to those who have more or superior to those who have less, You establish your identity in relationship to limitation, rather than recognizing your connection to infinite supply. This comparative thinking keeps you locked in the finite realm of appearances instead of opening your consciousness to the infinite possibilities that exist beyond current conditions. The dissolution of poverty consciousness begins with exposure and recognition. You must catch these master masqueraders at their old tricks by becoming acutely aware of the phrases that have ruled your life. Listen for the statements that automatically arise in your mind. I can't afford it. That's too expensive. Money is tight. Times are hard, or I'll never get ahead. These are not harmless sayings. They are spells that, when repeated with feeling, become iron bars around your good. The moment you hear one rise to your lips, or whisper through your mind, seize it with authority and speak aloud. I erase that. I refuse that picture. I accept only the truth of abundant supply. This practice of immediate correction must be consistent and swift. Poverty thoughts are like sparks. Left unattended, they kindle fires of limitation. Stamped out at once, they cannot burn and spread through your consciousness. Each time you make this correction, you are chiseling away at the old, fear-based programming in your subconscious mind and replacing it with the foundational truth of your divine inheritance. Stop arguing for your limitations by reciting your history. The stories of how it has been are the ropes that bind you to more of the same. You owe no allegiance to your former conditions. They were only the echo of former beliefs. Each time you tell the tale of struggle, you rehearse poverty, consciousness, and authorize its continuation. Train your tongue to become your ally. Let your conversation be a garden of increase, not a battlefield of complaint. If someone invites you to a chorus of worry, answer quietly, I only speak words that prosper me. Then bless them and change the subject. The core practice for dissolving poverty consciousness is the consistent substitution of truth for fear thoughts. Every time a thought of lack, worry, or limitation enters your mind, you immediately and consciously replace it with a thought of truth, a declaration of abundance, or a statement of your unity with infinite supply. This requires constant vigilance and a firm resolve, but it is the spiritual discipline that leads to liberation from financial bondage. For example, if the thought, I can't afford this arises, you immediately counter with, all things are possible to him who believes. Infinite supply is now flowing to me. If you see a large bill and feel a pang of fear, you bless the bill and declare, divine love establishes my supply. This is paid in full under grace, and money returns to me, multiplied. If worry about future security attempts to take hold, you substitute, my security comes from the infinite. I am always provided for in perfect ways. This process of substitution is not about superficial positive thinking. It is about retraining your consciousness to align with spiritual law. It is about consciously choosing to dwell on the truth of abundance rather than the lie of lack. Each substitution weakens the hold of old, limiting beliefs and strengthens the new patterns of prosperity consciousness. The fear thoughts, once so powerful and automatic, begin to lose their grip. They may still arise, but their power to disturb your peace or dictate your actions diminishes. To truly transform your life through this practice, you must understand that there are no idle words in the kingdom of manifestation. Every casual remark contributes to the fabric of your future. Every blessing spoken multiplies good. Every criticism uttered creates resistance to your own flow. The Dinger law does not judge the size or seeming importance of your declarations. It simply fulfills them with mechanical precision. Establish a mental diet by taking a vow for a period of days to engage in no lack speaking, no fear prophesying, and no complaint. If a word of loss slips out, catch it and correct it at once. This discipline trains your mind to remain on the track of truth. A mind that runs wild with worry will spend its capital on pictures of disaster. A mind held to truth invests in pictures of increase. Put your house in order as a declaration of your readiness to receive. Poverty consciousness loves clutter, delay, and unfinished business because they whisper, not enough time, not enough energy, not enough money. Clean a drawer, organize your desk, mend what is torn, complete what is pending. Order speaks to your subconscious. I am prepared to receive. As you set order in the visible, you untangle threads in the invisible. Many have reported that a small act of organization was followed swiftly by unexpected money or a right opportunity. Bless your bills and payments instead of handling them with dread. Handle them with respect and say, "You are divine substance in perfect circulation. You go forth to bless, and you return multiplied." When you pay for goods or services, whisper, "Thank you, riches of the infinite, for this easy exchange." Gratitude is a magnet that draws supply from invisible vaults. Complain, and you loosen bolts, holding your good. Give thanks, and the hinges of increase swing smoothly. Speak to your possessions and accounts as living allies. Say to your wallet, "You are always full and increasing." To your bank account, "You rise daily under grace." To your home, "You are a treasury of comfort and supply." To your work, "You are a golden channel of wealth for me and for all you touch." Objects hold the impress of speech. Let them carry the impress of abundance. Forgiveness plays a crucial role in dissolving poverty consciousness, because resentment, guilt, and unforgiveness create energetic blocks that prevent the free flow of abundance. Poverty consciousness thrives on resentment, and envy is its nourishment. Every time you resent another's wealth, you affirm separation from your own. Condemnation of money creates a wall money will not cross. If you have said, "Money is evil," it has taken you at your word and kept its distance. Forgive everyone connected to your financial past, including yourself for any perceived mistakes, poor decisions, or missed opportunities. Release parents, teachers, employers, and circumstances from responsibility for your current conditions, recognizing that you now have the power to create new experiences regardless of past influences. Declare, "I am free, and you are free. I loose you and let you go. Under grace, all that is mine comes to me, and all that is yours goes to you." Divine justice is now established. Every grudge is a knot in the hose of your supply. Unforgiveness binds life force and invites delay. Often, the one you release will repay in surprising ways, or a different channel will rush open at once because you have removed the obstruction in your own heart. Forgiveness is not agreement with wrongdoing. It is agreement with freedom and circulation over stagnation. The establishment of prosperity consciousness requires more than simply changing your thoughts about money. It demands a complete restructuring of your fundamental understanding of supply, security, and your relationship to the universe. Prosperity consciousness is not merely optimism about finances, but a deep, unshakable, knowing that you live in a universe of infinite abundance where your needs are met before you ask and your desires are fulfilled through divine love rather than human effort. Begin each day by consciously choosing your financial identity. Before engaging with the world of appearances, declare, "I am a prosperous child of the universe. Abundance is my natural state. I expect and receive continuous increase in all good things." Establish your consciousness in truth before checking bank accounts or reviewing obligations. "I am one with infinite supply. This day brings me abundant good through expected and unexpected channels. All my needs are met with divine plenty, and I have abundance to spare for generous sharing." Give as you are guided, for generous giving is the natural gesture of one who knows their unity with inexhaustible supply. Fear clenches the fist. Faith opens the hand in joyful sharing. When you give under divine guidance, whether money, time, attention, or appreciation, you declare through your actions that you live from an infinite reservoir rather than a limited container. Give something every day, proving to your subconscious mind that you live from abundance rather than lack. Practice the law of substitution in conversation with others. When someone tells you a grim financial tale, substitute truth without preaching. I hear you, and I am certain good is on its way to you now. Hold them in the light of abundance inwardly. Refuse to reinforce the picture of lack. Your calm certainty plants seeds, and often they will return to tell you of a sudden turn in their affairs. As you consistently practice the dissolution of poverty consciousness, you will notice subtle but significant changes in your external circumstances that reflect the transformation occurring within your mind. The old consciousness does not disappear overnight, but gradually loses its power as the new consciousness becomes dominant. During this transition period, remain patient and persistent, understanding that every day of practice strengthens the new patterns and weakens the old ones. Consider the example of a woman who had always struggled with debt. Having inherited a deep-seated belief that money burns a hole in my pocket and that I'll always be behind. These fear thoughts manifested as a constant cycle of earning and immediately spending, always leaving her in arrears. When she began the work of dissolving this poverty consciousness, she started by consciously refusing to argue with the appearance of her debt. Instead of dreading her credit card statements, she would hold them and declare, "This is paid in full under grace. Infinite supply is flowing to me now." Every time the old thought, "I'll never get out of debt," arose, she would substitute, "I am free from all debt. My supply is unlimited." She also started blessing every dollar she spent, affirming, "This money goes out to bless and returns to me multiplied." Within 6 months, an unexpected bonus from her work, combined with a sudden opportunity to sell some unused assets, allowed her to pay off all her consumer debt. More importantly, her internal relationship with money had completely transformed. Watch for the signs that prosperity consciousness is taking root. Increased peace about financial matters, natural generosity, without fear of lack, excitement about opportunities rather than anxiety about security, and a growing sense that abundance is your natural state rather than an exceptional condition. These inner changes always precede outer transformation, indicating that your new consciousness is preparing to manifest as improved financial circumstances. Keep a record of proofs to silence the voice that insists it doesn't work when a day passes without dramatic results. Record every gift, discount, opportunity, recovery, refund, idea, introduction, and unexpected kindness. Call them what they are, demonstrations of law in action. Reading this ledger renews your mind on dull days and magnifies gratitude on bright ones. What you acknowledge grows. What you ignore shrinks from your sight. The complete dissolution of poverty consciousness creates space for the establishment of permanent prosperity consciousness, where abundance becomes as natural and automatic as breathing. In this elevated state, money flows to you easily and consistently because your consciousness no longer contains the barriers that previously blocked your supply. You think, speak, and act from abundance, creating a magnetic field that continuously draws prosperity to you through channels both expected and miraculous. This is not mere financial improvement. It is a spiritual awakening to your divine inheritance, a recognition of your true nature as a being of unlimited supply, always connected to the source of all good, always provided for under grace and by perfect right. The dissolution of poverty consciousness is ultimately a journey from illusion to truth, from fear to faith, from limitation to liberation, establishing you permanently in the financial freedom that has always been your birthright as a child of the infinite. The sacred trinity of faith, expectation, and divine right forms the invincible foundation upon which all genuine prosperity is built, creating an irresistible magnetic field that draws money, opportunities, and resources to you with the precision of spiritual law. These 3 elements do not operate as separate forces, but function as an integrated spiritual technology that transforms the invisible substance of infinite supply into tangible financial abundance. When properly understood and consistently applied, This trinity becomes the master key that unlocks every channel through which prosperity can flow, dissolving resistance and manifesting your desires with effortless grace. This triumvirate operates according to immutable spiritual principles that work with the same reliability as physical laws. Faith provides the unshakable foundation of knowing. Expectation creates the magnetic attraction that draws your good to you, and divine right establishes the spiritual authority that makes your abundance inevitable rather than accidental. Together, they form a consciousness so powerful that money cannot help but flow to you from expected and unexpected sources, through channels both familiar and miraculous. Faith, in its truest spiritual sense, transcends hope, wishful thinking, or manufactured belief. It is, as ancient wisdom declares, the actual substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not yet visible to physical senses. True faith is an inner certainty, a deep spiritual knowing that what you have declared in the realm of infinite possibility is already accomplished and awaits only its perfect timing for materialization in your experience. This faith is not something you must struggle to create or work hard to maintain. It is something you uncover by removing the layers of doubt, fear, and limitation that have obscured your natural knowing of your divine inheritance. Understanding faith as spiritual substance means recognizing that when you have genuine faith in your abundance, you are not trying to convince yourself that money will come or hoping that circumstances will improve. You are acknowledging that your prosperity already exists in the invisible realm of divine substance and is simply awaiting your conscious recognition to manifest in your physical experience. This faith operates like a bridge between the world of infinite possibility and the world of material form, allowing the spiritual reality of your abundance to cross over into tangible demonstration. The development of unwavering faith requires understanding that the universe operates according to immutable spiritual laws. Just as you have complete faith that the sun will rise tomorrow because you understand the laws of planetary motion, you can develop absolute faith in your abundance when you truly comprehend the spiritual laws that govern manifestation. These laws are not capricious or unreliable. They respond to your consciousness with mathematical precision every single time they are properly applied. True faith manifests as a state of quiet knowing, a deep inner peace that whispers, "It is already done." When you possess this authentic faith, you release all anxiety about the how and when of your demonstration, trusting implicitly that infinite intelligence orchestrates everything with perfect timing and through perfect channels. Worry becomes impossible because worry is simply negative faith, the powerful expectation of unwanted outcomes, and genuine faith cannot coexist with its counterfeit. Consider the businessman whose company faced severe financial difficulties during an economic downturn. While colleagues panicked and made desperate decisions based on fear, he maintained unwavering faith in his divine right to abundant supply. Each morning, he declared, with quiet authority, "My business is sustained by infinite intelligence and supplied by inexhaustible resources. Right customers find me now, and perfect opportunities open before me under grace." Despite challenging external conditions, he refused to participate in the collective consciousness of lack and limitation. Within 3 months, an unexpected partnership opportunity presented itself that not only saved his business but expanded it beyond its previous level of success. His faith had created a magnetic field that attracted exactly what was needed when it was needed. Expectation operates as the magnetic force that draws your declared good from the invisible realm into your tangible experience. However, true spiritual expectation differs fundamentally from anxious waiting, hopeful wishing, or attachment to specific outcomes. Authentic expectation is the joyful, grateful anticipation of good that you know is already on its way to you. It is the confident preparation for the inevitable manifestation of your spoken word, the inner posture of one who has already received what they have claimed. This expectation functions as creative magnetism because it establishes you in the consciousness of completion rather than need. When you expect something with genuine gratitude, you are living from the end result rather than from the current appearance of lack. This shift in consciousness is crucial because the universe responds not merely to your words, but to the consciousness from which those words arise. When your expectation is grateful and joyful, you vibrate at the frequency of already having received, which magnetizes the physical manifestation of what you expect with irresistible power. The magnetic quality of expectation operates through the law of vibration, which governs all manifestation. Everything in existence vibrates at specific frequencies, and like frequencies attract each other with mathematical precision. Money vibrates at the frequency of abundance, ease, circulation, and joyful exchange. When your expectation raises your vibrational frequency to match the vibration of prosperity, you become an irresistible magnet for financial abundance in all its forms. A woman who had been seeking employment for months transformed her experience when she shifted from anxious hoping to grateful expectation. Instead of desperately applying to every available position while secretly fearing rejection, she began each day by declaring, "My perfect position finds me today. I am grateful for the right work, right compensation, and right colleagues that are now aligning in my experience." She visualized herself in her ideal work environment, feeling the satisfaction and joy of meaningful employment. Within 2 weeks, a position was created specifically for her skills at a company that had not been advertising any openings. The hiring manager later explained that they had suddenly realized they needed exactly her expertise and had been guided to contact her through a mutual acquaintance. This expectation must be combined with complete detachment from specific channels or timing. While you expect your good with absolute certainty, you release all concern about how, when, or through whom it will arrive. This release is not indifference but trust in divine intelligence to orchestrate the perfect unfolding of your demonstration. When you outline specific methods or insist on particular timing, you limit the infinite ways your good can reach you and often create resistance that delays manifestation. The cornerstone upon which both faith and expectation rest is the profound recognition of your divine right to all good. This principle is perhaps the most liberating truth you can embrace. You do not have to earn, struggle for, or prove yourself worthy of abundance. Prosperity is your inherent spiritual inheritance, your birthright as a divine being created in the image and likeness of infinite supply. Just as a child of royalty is born into wealth and privilege, you, as a spiritual being, are born into a universe of inexhaustible abundance and inherit all its riches by perfect right. Divine right exists independently of your past mistakes, current circumstances, educational background, or perceived limitations. It is as natural and automatic as your right to breathe, air, or your right to exist. This right cannot be earned through good deeds, lost through poor decisions, or withheld by external circumstances. It is woven into the very fabric of your being, as an expression of the infinite, and recognizing this truth dissolves every false belief about unworthiness or limitation that has blocked your supply. Understanding your divine right eliminates the consciousness of competition, manipulation, or taking from others to secure your good. When you recognize that your abundance flows from the infinite source rather than from limited earthly resources, you understand that your prosperity never comes at the expense of another. There is no shortage in the realm of divine substance. There is only the appearance of shortage created by collective consciousness that has forgotten its connection to infinite supply. This inheritance operates under grace, which means your abundance flows to you through divine love rather than through force, struggle, or harm. To others, grace is the divine current that moves around obstacles, opens doors where no doors seem to exist, and creates pathways for your good that are harmonious for all concerned. When you claim your abundance under grace, you invoke the highest spiritual law that ensures your prosperity blesses rather than burdens, elevates rather than diminishes, and creates increase for everyone it touches. The phrase harming none and blessing all is not a limitation, but a guarantee of the highest form of manifestation. Your divine right ensures that your good comes through perfect channels, at perfect timing, and in ways that contribute to the elevation of consciousness for all involved. There is no need for manipulation, compromise, or unethical practices because your divine right guarantees that your prosperity is established on the foundation of universal harmony and justice. When faith, expectation, and divine right are perfectly aligned in your consciousness, they create an irresistible magnetic field that draws to you everything necessary for complete financial prosperity. This is not metaphorical language, but a description of actual spiritual mechanics operating through immutable law. Your consciousness, when properly attuned to this trinity, becomes a powerful magnet that attracts money, opportunities, people, and circumstances that align with your declared good. The strength of this magnetic field is determined by the consistency and intensity of your alignment with all three principles simultaneously. Faith without expectation lacks the magnetic pull to draw manifestation. Expectation without faith lacks the substance to sustain attraction. Both faith and expectation, without recognition of divine right, operate from a consciousness of earning rather than receiving, which creates resistance and delay. Only when all three elements are unified do they form the complete circuit through which infinite supply can flow into your experience with maximum power and minimum resistance. This unified trinity operates as spiritual law with the same reliability as physical laws. It is not dependent on your personal charm, intelligence, or physical efforts alone, though these may serve as channels through which your good flows. The Trinity responds to the alignment of your inner consciousness with spiritual truth. When your faith is unshakable, your expectation is joyful, and your claim to divine right is firm, you become an irresistible magnet for the abundance you desire. The universe has no choice but to respond by bringing forth your manifestation through the most appropriate and beneficial channels. Consider the story of a man facing imminent foreclosure on his home. Fear had gripped him, and he found himself constantly worrying and speaking words of lack and limitation. When instructed in the Trinity of Manifestation, he began each day by establishing his consciousness in all three principles simultaneously. With unwavering faith, he declared, "My perfect home is secured by divine love. Infinite supply provides for me now." With joyful expectation, he visualized the paid-in-full stamp on his mortgage statement, feeling the relief and gratitude as though it had already occurred. With recognition of his divine right, he affirmed, "I am a child of the infinite, and my home is mine by divine right, under grace, harming none and blessing all." He refused to argue with the appearance of the foreclosure notice, blessing it instead and affirming, "This is but a temporary appearance. Divine truth reigns in my affairs." Within 1 week, an unexpected opportunity arose through a former business contact, resulting in a project that yielded precisely the amount needed to clear the debt and secure his home permanently. The solution came not through frantic effort, but through the magnetic attraction created by his aligned consciousness. To establish faith, expectation, and divine right as the governing principles of your financial experience, begin each day by consciously aligning with these truths before engaging with the world of appearances. Upon waking, before checking bank accounts or reviewing obligations, declare with quiet authority, "I have unwavering faith in my divine inheritance of abundant supply. I expect my good to manifest today through expected and unexpected channels. I claim my abundance by divine right, under grace, in perfect ways that bless all concerned." Throughout each day, maintain this consciousness by refusing to argue with appearances that seem to contradict your trinity of truth. When bills arrive, when expenses arise, when opportunities seem delayed, return immediately to your foundation of faith, expectation, and divine right. Speak with authority, this appearance has no permanent power over my divine inheritance. My good is established by spiritual law and must manifest in perfect timing and perfect measure. Practice grateful expectation by living as though you're taxing. Abundance is already manifesting. Prepare for increase by organizing your financial affairs, clearing space for new opportunities, and maintaining an attitude of joyful anticipation. Set your environment to reflect your expectation. Keep your wallet clean and organized. Maintain a small bowl that is always kept full as a symbol of overflow. Place a plant that thrives in your workspace as evidence of natural increase. Establish daily speech patterns that reinforce your Trinity consciousness. Speak to your money with respect and authority. You are divine substance in perfect circulation. You multiply in my hands and return to me increased under grace. Address your work. You are a golden channel through which infinite supply flows to me and through me to bless others. Affirm your divine inheritance. I am a beloved child of the universe, and all good things are mine by divine right. Guard your conversation with vigilance, for every word either strengthens or weakens your magnetic field. If a statement of lack slips out, immediately correct it. I cancel that. I welcome only divine abundance now. When others speak of financial difficulty, respond from your Trinity consciousness. I hear you, and I know that good is rushing to meet you now under grace. Hold them in the light of abundance inwardly while refusing to reinforce pictures of limitation. The most common obstacle to maintaining the Trinity consciousness is the tendency toward double-mindedness, the habit of decreeing abundance in the morning and speaking lack by afternoon. Such cross-currents split the stream of your supply and delay your demonstration. Consistency in all three elements is essential for maximum magnetic power. When doubt arises about your faith, immediately substitute truth. I refuse this doubt. My faith is established in divine law, which never fails. When worry attempts to corrupt your expectation, declare, I cancel this fear. I expect only good, and good is rushing to meet me. Now, when feelings of unworthiness challenge your divine right, affirm, I am worthy because I exist as an expression of the infinite. My abundance is established by spiritual law, not personal merit. Practice the law of substitution consistently throughout each day. Every time a thought or feeling arises that contradicts your Trinity consciousness, immediately replace it with its spiritual truth. This is not denial of current appearances, but recognition of higher spiritual fact that has the power to transform appearances. Remember that appearances are effects, not causes, and effects must change when their spiritual cause is altered through your aligned consciousness. Forgiveness plays a crucial role in maintaining clear channels for your Trinity to operate. Resentment, guilt, and unforgiveness create energetic blocks that prevent the free flow of abundance. Release everyone connected to your financial past, including yourself, from responsibility for current conditions. Declare, I am free, and you are free. Under grace, all that is mine comes to me, and all that is yours goes to you. Divine justice is now established in perfect ways. When faith, expectation, and divine right are perfectly established and consistently maintained in your consciousness, manifestation becomes inevitable rather than hopeful. You are no longer trying to make something happen. You are simply allowing what is already established in the realm of spirit to express itself in the physical world. This shift from effort to allowance, from hoping to knowing, from seeking to receiving, marks the transition from financial struggle to effortless prosperity. The manifestation may not always appear exactly as you expected or through the channels you anticipated, but it will always be perfect for your highest good and greatest blessing. Divine intelligence sees the complete picture of your life and orchestrates your abundance in ways that support not only your immediate needs, but also your long-term growth and spiritual development. As you consistently practice living from the unified trinity of faith, expectation, and divine right, you will notice that money begins to flow to you more easily and frequently. Opportunities will present themselves with increasing regularity. People will be drawn to help you and support your endeavors. Obstacles that once seemed insurmountable will dissolve with surprising ease. This is not coincidence or luck. It is the natural result of aligning your consciousness with the spiritual laws that govern abundance and prosperity. The ultimate goal is not merely to have more money, but to establish yourself permanently in the consciousness of your divine inheritance, where abundance becomes as natural and automatic as breathing. In this elevated state, you no longer worry about supply, because you know with absolute certainty that you are always provided for under grace and by perfect right. You give generously because you know your source is inexhaustible. You receive gratefully because you recognize every blessing as confirmation of your divine right to abundant life. Practice daily. The royal phrase that unifies these powers, under grace and by perfect right, my infinite supply now appears in perfect ways. Let this sentence become the cadence of your days, the rhythm of your consciousness, the magnetic decree that draws to you an endless stream of financial abundance. Speak it with the authority of one who knows their divine heritage. Expect its fulfillment with the joy of one who has already received, and claim it with the certainty of one who recognizes their perfect right to all good. In this consciousness, established and maintained, your overflow of money becomes not merely possible, but absolutely inevitable. There flows through all creation an eternal river of divine substance, a sacred current that knows only movement, increase, and perfect distribution according to spiritual law. This magnificent principle of Qasim, circulation, governs all manifestation in the universe, operating with the same precision as the circulation of blood through your body or the endless cycle of water from sea to cloud to rain to river and back to sea again. To understand and align yourself with this law of circulation through generous giving is to discover the most powerful secret of sustained abundance, for it reveals that prosperity comes not through accumulation and hoarding, but through becoming a clear, open channel through which infinite supply can flow freely, blessing all it touches while multiplying in your hands with divine precision. Money, in its truest spiritual essence, is not cold metal or mere paper, but divine substance temporarily taking form for the sacred purpose of exchange and circulation. Like all expressions of infinite supply, it thrives through movement and becomes stagnant when held too tightly through fear. Just as a river cut off from its source becomes a lifeless pool, so does money lose its life-giving power when trapped by the consciousness of lack and limitation. When you recognize money as divine energy in motion and align yourself with its natural desire to circulate, you step into the eternal current of abundance that flows from the infinite source through countless channels, bringing blessing to all it touches. This understanding transforms every financial transaction from a mere exchange of goods and services into a sacred act of participation in divine circulation. When you pay a bill, you are not losing money, but participating in the blessed flow that supports and sustains others while creating space for fresh abundance to flow to you. When you receive payment for your work, you are not merely earning wages but accepting your rightful portion of the infinite substance that seeks expression through your talents and service. This elevated consciousness of sacred exchange eliminates the fear and resistance that block the natural flow of abundance and establishes you permanently in the river of infinite supply. The law of circulation operates through the principle of non-resistance, which means you must release all attempts to control or manipulate the flow of abundance in your life. Just as water naturally flows around obstacles and finds the easiest path to its destination, so does divine substance move through your affairs when you cease struggling against appearances and allow the current of infinite intelligence to direct your financial affairs. This does not mean passivity or inaction, but rather inspired action that flows from inner guidance rather than from fear or desperation. Generous giving, when properly understood and practiced, operates as a precise spiritual technology that creates a vacuum in your affairs, which the universe must fill according to immutable law. This is not merely philosophical theory, but practical spiritual science that works with mathematical precision when you understand the consciousness from which true giving flows. When you give from the awareness of your unity with infinite supply, recognizing that your gift is simply a demonstration of that inexhaustible connection, you create a magnetic field that draws to you increased abundance from expected and unexpected sources with irresistible power. The key to understanding this spiritual mechanics lies in recognizing that giving and receiving are not two separate acts, but one continuous motion, like breathing in and breathing out. Every authentic act of giving creates the space for receiving, just as every inhalation creates the capacity for exhalation. This is the law of the vacuum operating in your financial affairs, ensuring that what you release under divine guidance returns to you multiplied in measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, because circulation is the way infinite supply proves its inexhaustible nature. True spiritual giving always begins with inner guidance rather than external pressure, obligation, or manipulation. The infinite intelligence that governs all circulation speaks to you through intuitive impulses, gentle nudges, and inner knowing about when, where, and how much to give. These divine promptings are perfectly timed and perfectly measured to create maximum blessing for both giver and receiver, while maintaining the natural rhythm of circulation in your affairs. Learning to recognize and immediately obey these sacred impulses becomes one of the most valuable skills you can develop for maintaining abundant supply. For delayed obedience dulls the inner voice and weakens your connection to the flow. The greatest enemy of circulation is the consciousness of hoarding, which represents one of the most destructive aspects of poverty thinking, because it is based on the fundamental lie that security comes from accumulating and protecting what you have, rather than from maintaining your connection to infinite supply. This consciousness creates energetic dams in the persissivoxis, natural flow of abundance, causing stagnation in your affairs and blocking the channels through which fresh supply seeks to reach you. When you hoard money, possessions, or even opportunities from fear of future lack, you inadvertently signal to the universe that you believe in scarcity rather than infinite abundance. Hoarding consciousness manifests in countless subtle ways that may not appear to be hoarding at all. It appears as the reluctance to spend money on things that would genuinely improve your life or serve your highest good. It shows up as the compulsive need to buy the cheapest option, regardless of quality or true value. It expresses itself as the habit of saving for future emergencies while living in present limitation and denial. It reveals itself in the inability to give generously when moved to do so because of calculated fears about your own security and worthiness. The antidote to this destructive consciousness is the cultivation of generous giving, which proves to constitutive your subconscious mind that you live from abundance rather than scarcity. Every act of guided generosity becomes a declaration of faith in infinite supply and a demonstration of your understanding that your security comes from your connection to the source rather than from your accumulated possessions. This shift from hoarding to giving consciousness transforms your entire relationship with money and opens channels for increased abundance that were previously blocked by fear and spiritual ignorance. The phrase "under grace" distinguishes true spiritual giving from mere charity, obligation, or manipulation. When you give under grace, your generosity flows from divine love rather than human effort, creating blessing without strain or harm to anyone involved. This consciousness ensures that your gifts carry the highest vibrational frequency of love and abundance, attracting back to you more of the same through the law of like attracting like. Grace is the divine current that moves around obstacles, opens doors where no doors seem to exist, and creates pathways for your good that are harmonious and beneficial for all concerned. Giving under grace means your generosity is motivated by joy, faith, and inner guidance rather than by guilt, pressure, or expectation of specific returns. When you give from this elevated consciousness, you release your gift completely, blessing it as it goes forth, and trusting that the law of circulation will return to you exactly what you need when you need it through perfect channels. This complete release is essential because the moment you give with strings attached or expectations of return from specific sources, you limit the infinite ways the universe can bless you and often create resistance that delays your demonstration. The practice of secret giving aligns you most powerfully with the principle of giving under grace because it eliminates ego involvement and allows pure love to motivate your generosity. When you contribute, anonymously or quietly, without fanfare or self-promotion, you create a direct connection between yourself and the infinite source, bypassing human personalities and conditions that might otherwise limit or delay your return. Many of the most prosperous individuals practice regular anonymous giving as a spiritual discipline that maintains their connection to infinite supply and proves their understanding that true security comes from giving rather than getting. The most remarkable aspect of the circulation law is its multiplication principle, which ensures that what you give under divine guidance returns to you increased according to spiritual law. This multiplication occurs not through the gratitude or obligation of those who receive your gifts, but through the operation of universal law that responds to the consciousness from which you give. When the infinite sees your generous giving as evidence of your faith in unlimited supply and your recognition of your divine inheritance, it arranges circumstances, opportunities, and channels to bring you increased abundance that often far exceeds what you gave in both quantity and quality. This multiplication principle operates most powerfully when your giving is done without expectation of recognition or return from specific sources. The universe delights in surprising you with its ingenuity and often provides through channels so unexpected that others call them coincidences, but which you recognize as divine orchestration responding to your generous heart. Money might return through a forgotten debt repaid, an unexpected gift, a brilliant new idea that generates income, a sudden opportunity, or even an inheritance from a distant relative you barely knew. The law has infinite ways to multiply your gifts and return them to you with abundant increase. Understanding this multiplication eliminates the common fear that generous giving will leave you with less. Instead, you begin to see giving as the most practical and reliable method of increasing your supply. You recognize that every gift given under divine guidance is actually an investment in your own abundance, guaranteed to return to you with increase through channels that are often more wonderful and beneficial than what you originally gave. This understanding transforms giving from sacrifice into investment, from loss into gain, from depletion into multiplication. The ancient practice of tithing represents one of the most systematic and powerful applications of the circulation law, establishing you permanently in the consciousness of abundance, while creating consistent channels for increased supply to flow into your experience. True tithing is not merely giving 10% of your income to religious organizations, but rather the consistent practice of giving the first and best portion of all your increase to wherever you receive your spiritual inspiration and guidance, acknowledging through your actions that your abundance comes from infinite supply rather than from human sources alone. The power of tithing lies not in the specific percentage or destination of your gifts, but in the consciousness of putting the infinite first in your financial affairs and demonstrating through consistent action that you recognize the spiritual source of all your supply. When you faithfully tithe before paying any other obligations, you declare that your abundance flows from divine love rather than from human effort alone. And you invoke the highest spiritual law to govern your financial affairs with perfect justice and abundant provision. Tithing also serves as a form of spiritual insurance that guarantees your supply will be maintained and increased, regardless of external economic conditions. When you faithfully honor the source of your supply through consistent giving, you establish a covenant with the infinite that ensures your needs will always be met and your abundance will never fail. This is not superstition but spiritual law, based on the principle that when you honor the source of your supply, The source honors you with continued and increased provision through channels both expected and miraculous. The greatest obstacle to practicing the law of circulation is the fear that giving will leave you with insufficient resources for your own needs and desires. This fear is rooted in the illusion of separation from infinite supply and the belief that your security depends on what you can accumulate and protect, rather than on your connection to the inexhaustible source of all good. Overcoming this fear requires both intellectual understanding of spiritual law and practical experience of its operation in your own life through consistent application. Begin your practice of generous giving with amounts that feel comfortable and natural, gradually increasing as your faith and experience grow. The universe responds to your willingness and the consciousness behind your giving more than to the size of your gifts. $1 given with joy and faith from a consciousness of abundance creates more powerful results than $100 given grudgingly from a consciousness of sacrifice or duty. Start where you are, with what you have, and allow the law to prove itself in your experience through consistent, faithful application. Practice giving something every day, even if only a kind word, a genuine compliment, or a moment of focused attention to someone who needs it. This daily practice of giving keeps you aligned with the law of circulation and maintains your consciousness in the flow of abundance rather than the stagnation of accumulation. As you develop the habit of daily giving, you will notice that opportunities to give money will present themselves naturally, and you will find yourself moved to give larger amounts with increasing joy and confidence. To complete the circuit of circulation, you must be as open and gracious in receiving as you are generous in giving. Many individuals who are H-in-10, skilled at giving, resist receiving, feeling unworthy or uncomfortable with accepting gifts, compliments, or assistance from others. This resistance to receiving creates a blockage in the flow of abundance just as surely as resistance to giving, preventing the completion of the sacred circuit through which infinite supply seeks to bless your life. Practice receiving every form of good that flows to you with genuine gratitude and joyful acceptance. When someone offers you a compliment, accept it gracefully with a simple "thank you" rather than deflecting or minimizing the blessing. When a gift is presented, receive it with appreciation rather than embarrassment or obligation. When money comes to you, whether expected or unexpected, bless it and declare, "I receive this good with gratitude." It multiplies and blesses all it touches. This conscious act of receiving completes the circuit of circulation and ensures that the flow of abundance continues uninterrupted in your affairs. Remember that every act of gracious receiving is also an act of giving, for when you accept a gift with joy and gratitude, you give the giver the satisfaction of blessing you. When you refuse or resist what others offer, you actually deprive them of the joy of giving and break the sacred circuit of circulation. Learn to receive as naturally as you breathe, understanding that your willingness to accept good creates space for even greater good to flow through your life. Establish a daily practice of conscious giving that keeps you aligned with the law of circulation throughout each day's day. Upon waking each morning, ask in prayer or meditation, "How would you have me give today?" and listen for inner guidance about where your gifts would create the greatest blessing. Sometimes the guidance will be to give money, sometimes time, sometimes attention, sometimes simply appreciation or encouragement to someone who needs uplifting. Obey these promptings immediately, for delayed obedience weakens your connection to the divine flow. Keep a portion of money specifically designated for guided giving, separate from your budgeted expenses and planned contributions. This circulation fund allows you to respond immediately when you feel moved to give, without having to calculate or worry about your other financial obligations. Replenish this fund regularly, treating it as one of your most important financial priorities because it maintains your connection to the flow of abundance and proves your faith in infinite supply. Bless every expenditure as a form of giving, recognizing that when you pay for goods and services, you are participating in the divine circulation that supports and blesses others. Instead of resenting necessary expenses, speak over each payment, This money goes forth to bless and returns to me multiplied. I am grateful for this opportunity to participate in divine circulation. This consciousness transforms every financial transaction into a spiritual practice that increases rather than depletes your abundance. Speak to your money with love and authority, recognizing it as divine substance temporarily in your care. Hold your money and declare, "You are divine energy in perfect circulation. You love to be in my hands, and you multiply joyfully. You go forth to bless everyone you touch and return to me with friends, under grace, and by perfect right." This practice establishes a loving relationship with money that magnetizes more to you through the law of attraction. As you consistently practice the law of circulation through generous giving, you will notice that your capacity to give and receive increases naturally and effortlessly. What once seemed like large amounts become comfortable, and what once felt like sacrifice becomes joyful sharing. This expansion occurs because your consciousness is growing to accommodate larger flows of abundance, and the universe responds by providing increased supply through your enlarged capacity for handling divine substance. The circles of your giving will naturally expand from personal acquaintances to community needs, from local concerns to global causes, from immediate necessities to long-term investments in human welfare and spiritual advancement. This expansion reflects your growing understanding that you are not separate from others, but part of the one divine life that seeks to bless all creation through conscious channels like yourself. Document your experiences with giving and receiving to strengthen your faith and provide evidence of the law's operation in your life. Keep a record of your gifts and the subsequent increase that flows to you, noting not only financial returns, but also opportunities, relationships, insights, and other forms of abundance that result from your generous sharing. This record becomes a testament to the reliability of spiritual law and encourages you to give even more generously as your faith increases through demonstrated proof. Remember that the ultimate goal of practicing circulation is not merely to increase your personal wealth, but to establish yourself as a clear, open channel through which infinite supply can flow to bless the world. As you perfect your understanding and application of this law, you become an agent of divine prosperity, helping to dissolve the collective consciousness of lack and limitation while demonstrating the abundance that is available to all who align with spiritual truth. In this consciousness of sacred circulation, established and maintained through consistent, generous giving under grace, your own prosperity becomes not only assured but overflowing, creating waves of blessing that extend far beyond your individual experience, to touch and transform countless lives in ways you may never fully know, but which the infinite sees and blesses with ever-increasing abundance.